Coventry Town Council meeting to order on Monday, February 3rd, 2020. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The clerk will note that all council members are present. And I'd like to read a quick statement. I know there's a lot of people that are interested in following what's going on in town. We as a council are aware that certain claims have been made against a town employee. Those claims are being taken seriously and are in the process of being thoroughly investigated by the appropriate authorities. Until such time as the investigation has been completed, findings have been made, and the town council is charged with taking action with regard to any such findings, it would be inappropriate for the town council as a whole or any council member in particular to comment upon the claims or the status of the investigation. In the meantime, we urge patience with the required process and know that the whole council has confidence that our police department, the state police, and town management will bring this investigation to a timely conclusion. The town council has met with our town attorneys and are following their advice. We respect the process, our police department and officers who work hard every day and are committed to providing service to the community. I have a list for audience of citizens. People have signed up to speak. If you didn't get to, just let me know. Would Deborah Zeppa like to go first? Is that okay? Give us your name and address, please. And I know I do have it, but for the record.
My name is Deborah Zeppa. I live at 93 West Shore Drive here in Coventry. I'm here because I'm a lakefront resident. Starting in the summer of 2015, Coventry Lake entered into a period of real threats to the lake. With the support of the town council, the Coventry town officials, and Coventry DEP resources were found to conduct a study of the possible impact of JAVs, jetted articulated vehicles, better known as flyboards, usage on the lake. That was our first threat that we were able to basically resolve. The next challenge came in September of the same year, 2015, with the discovery of hydrilla in Coventry Lake. Again, Coventry Town Council, the town officials, and Connecticut DEP joined forces to fight what is thought to be a very long, expensive battle against this highly aggressive, invasive aquatic plant. The support has continued with treatments in 2016, 17, 18, and 19. The results have shown that the treatments are reducing hydrilla in Coventry Lake. Tonight, I want to thank this council for continuing the support of both lakes in Coventry, Wongambog, and Eagleville. As I read in the Coventry Town Council goals for 2020 and 2021, under the environmental section, goal number 5 is to continue lake management treatments to contain and eradicate the hydrilla and fanwort. Thank you. Thank you for continuing this support on behalf of all lake users.
Next on our list is Jen Burdett.
Hi, Jennifer Burdett, 154 Bear Swamp Road in Andover. You must know I'm happily surprised to hear your early statement because that was specifically what I had asked for from the town council. And I'm very surprised because it was said that there was going to be no statement made. So I'm very surprised at that. I would like to suggest to the town council, when a citizen writes the council with a request for an agenda item, if they could please give the courtesy of a response. Please don't wait until the person finds out they were ignored entirely by viewing the next agenda online. Even a simple "I'm sorry, we cannot add that item at this time," it would have been appreciated, very much so. The silence was very deafening and very hurtful, and truly I felt very ignored by the town of Coventry, that there was zero response. So I'd ask if you could please consider handling things differently in the future. And I think even though You said you weren't adding it to the agenda. Apparently, it was put in a statement at your meeting, which to me is comparative to doing the same. You made a statement. Without saying you weren't making a statement, you did make a statement. So thank you. I appreciate that. I'm glad that you felt that that was important to do. I do appreciate it. Thank you. I would recommend within a reasonable time responding. I was very hurt after multiple attempts to contact and not hearing back until finally I saw the agenda and the town manager emailed me and provided me some procedural information and otherwise, which was finally, grateful and appreciated. I would just like to also thank all the local citizens of Coventry who came forward to support us as well. I'm not on Facebook, but many people forwarded us the many messages of support posted online, and it meant so much to us. We read everyone, and these were people with real names, not fake Facebook names. They were actual citizens of Coventry. Thank you to the woman who didn't even know me that night but held my hand and hugged me. Thank you to the people who texted and called as well. It meant so much to all of us. It was very difficult to come forward. I spoke with State's Attorney Matthew Gdansky, who called me today. He called me on the phone today, the State's Attorney. He did confirm to me that the criminal investigation against Coventry's officer Michael Hicks is still active and open. The criminal case is open. It was, is, and has been open, and it's being investigated. I don't know any more details than that at this time, similar to you. We're just waiting. My daughter asked me if I'd read a brief statement. She's living in Missouri currently. She can't come to the meeting, obviously. She wanted me just to read a brief statement. This is from my daughter, Amber. She says, "Thank you, everyone, for your support. This has been very stressful coming forward. My main concern is preventing this from happening to anyone else and allowing people who may have gone through this courage to come forward. It's nerve-wracking to think what would have happened if I had accepted Michael's advances and went to see him or sent the photos to his private email he was requesting. I don't want this happening to anyone else. Thank you for your support." And again, I second that very, very much so for everyone in Coventry. I think a lot of people in Coventry have come forward to say that they truly care about the youth and their children in Coventry. And we do have many fine men and women officers working, and they should be greatly respected for the jobs they do because they are very dangerous. And it's sad that the actions of one person can really change how police officers are viewed. And I have been a huge police officer supporter my entire life, very, very much so. Ingrained it in my children from day one, as you can see, maybe almost too well. And what's sad to me now is I hesitate to now. I hesitate to. And I think that's very sad because there are many fine men and women who don't deserve that hesitation. So thank you for letting me speak again, and thank you for listening last week. And thank you to all of Coventry for your outpouring of love and concern. It's been appreciated.
Carol Chipkin.
Hi, my name is Carol Chipkin. I live at 454 Cassidy Hill Road. I worked for 16 years in a library, so I feel kind of qualified to speak on these proposals. According to the minutes of the September 11th meeting, the Booth and Demick Library Renovation and Improvement Committee, there were 6 expanded definitions of what a library should be. I could say it another way, 6 reasons for expanding the library. The first reason was children have been turned away from programs, in quote, due to current space limitations. A larger community room paired with adequate parking can alleviate this situation. What I'd like to know is how many spaces would accommodate 20 children, 30 children? How many are we talking about before you decide to turn them away? Has anyone here ever tried to run a program for 16 under 5 children? I have. It's extremely difficult. Why do schools in Coventry even have a class size? There is a space limitation. Okay, if you insist on running programs that have no space limitations, I think we have adequate space in the community and space with adequate parking. Second, the library also provides, this was the second wish, that the library also provide technology and IT assistance. Yeah, the library does have computers, but most of the information comes from reference, resource, and computers, but the IT assistance in a library is limited. Third reason was tax help. Well, unless you're planning to hire a tax accountant, the only material that's really available in the library, or should be, is reference materials, online information, and limited IT assistance. Fourth, shelter during power outages. Well, I don't see where a library should be the shelter. However, the town has many facilities. We have schools, fire stations, public works department, and senior centers, just to name a few. The fifth, programs for children and adults. Well, I already discussed that. The sixth is protection for historical records, valuable portraits, historical artifacts, and community value. Well, where are they presently being stored? I don't know. The other, I am only aware of libraries. The only commitment I know of in any library is where a private endowment has said, you must show these things in order to receive monies. I believe these additional functions proposed by the library committee were not thought through. They were put forward slowly to support an expensive physical expansion. If the town feels any or all are necessary, they can be performed in settings other than the present library building.
Sharon, would you like to submit that to the secretary? Would you like her to have your copy?
Thank you. Linda Blakesley.
Hello, good evening. My name is Linda Blakesley. I'm from 27 Berry Avenue. I have no prepared remarks tonight, so I'll be brief, but what prompted me to come here tonight was to support Miss Jennifer Burdett and her daughter, Amber. And I just want you all to know that I'm appalled by learning what transpired several years ago, and I'm even more displeased with the reaction from the town leaders. And what I would like to see is support for the females in our town to feel safe for coming forward for if they've had a similar experience with this officer or anyone in authority or anyone in town. And I'm not getting that from the town council members, from the town leadership, Mr. Elsesser, and certainly not from the chief of police. And right now, I don't trust the chief of police. I think he handled the situation very poorly, withheld information from citizens of this town, and possibly put people in danger. And I would ask that we consider removing him from his position. And that'll be my remarks today. And support Ms. Burdett. Thank you.
All right. Seeing no one else on our list to speak tonight, I'll close the audience of citizens portion. Can I have a motion to accept our minutes of January 21st, 2020?
Move to accept. Second.
Any changes, corrections, or additions? I have a couple of them.
Under the audience of citizens section, section 5. Everybody following? Yep. Yeah, it's the second page of
Page 2, I guess.
Yeah, there's no page numbers, but anyway, under 5, audience of citizens, I just would like to note that for the second bunch of minutes in a row, it would appear that the comments under audience of citizens state that their statements are attached, and they are not. So I have a problem with that. The folks took great pains to come here and say what they needed to say, and they requested that they be attached to the minutes. And now we're 2 meetings into they're not being attached to minutes. Last time this was brought up, it was mentioned they can go find it in the town clerk's office.
I updated the last one. I updated the link on the last
You
one.
did?
I
Okay.
went back and updated
Okay.
it so that it is there now. And I'll do that with this, and I'll touch base with Laura on making sure that.
I appreciate that greatly, I do. So I guess the same kind of concern is raised here, that timeliness of that is kind of important with these issues that are on the table.
We're still trying to get down the whole recording process. It's
I do understand the things, but this particular issue is, I think, important enough to raise as an issue. It's not directed at any one person. I think the system is hopefully working towards getting that ironed out. And it is probably because that they were gave statements to attach to the minutes, but I feel that it's necessary to bring up that not much of the content is listed for some of them, but for some of them it's in pretty great detail. And so with the minutes the way they are, it's kind of lopsided. And so it's not, like, it goes against our pledge for transparency. That's all. So I think that we should make sure that that happens. That's all I have at that moment. Somebody else wants to go dive in with something?
Lisa Conan. Under my report, I just lost
Page?
Page 6. Towards the top. Just a couple of clarifications, because I think there's so much going on. There was such a long meeting, things got meshed in together. But where it says one event is for Girl Scouts to create a suffrage design as a badge project. That's not really what I had said. They're doing badge projects around women's right to vote, but there's not really a design that I know of that's in place. And I can forward you my actual report.
If I may, I think there was discussion about, and whether you said it or somebody else said it that night, design for the I voted.
Exactly, and that's what I had said about it. It was the I voted stickers.
Yep.
I'm not sure if it's going to be the Girl Scouts that are doing that though. And they're also doing commemorative sashes. And then where it says Conant would like, referring to the posters marking the anniversary, Conant would like these to hang in the town hall, the schools, and the Board of Education building if the council agrees to this. If the Board of Education agrees to that. I don't think the council can tell them what they can and can't hang in their building.
So it's council and the Board of Ed. So they can't do the town hall either.
Well, I mean, we don't tell John what to hang.
They're already out.
Thank you.
There you go.
I would just,
and the bulletin boards have all been redesigned in the town hall, so it's cleaner looking.
yeah, and if you could substitute, if the council agrees to this, with if the Board of Education agrees to this.
So just I'm sorry to keep on. Do you want to create a suffrage badge project and also have groups look at designing a I voted badge?
Yes.
So broader than just them?
Right, because what Lori had mentioned is that she wants to see if we can run a contest that's townwide. I can forward you, I have my remarks written up, so I can forward you that and probably make it a lot easier for everyone.
Anybody else? John?
On page 7, at the top, about 2/3 of the way through, the very first sentence at the top of the page, it refers to final draft of the PASHE or PASKI grant. I think that's PEDIA or something, is that, am I?
Yes.
Yes.
The correct name of the grant needs to be there, that's all.
It's PEGETTIA.
Yeah. That. What John said.
Or Pesha, I don't know.
PEGPETIJ.
Right, that's how I have it written. Anyway,
Yes, Lisa.
seems a little fishy.
Back under our audience of citizens, where Catherine Kennelly is speaking at the top of page 3. There's only one sentence because her statement was supposed to be attached. But it says, is attending the meeting this evening because something disturbing, and it should say is happening in town. Also, Kathleen Breitenwisher, her correct address is 61 Barber Drive, not 61 Mark Drive. And just going back to the idea of statements being attached, after our first meeting, everybody's statements were attached to those minutes. So we know it can be done. And then under the town manager's, am I still in the minutes? Project updates, it's on page 7. 8F. 8F1, the second bullet. It's where we're talking about the crumbling
It's on page 6,
foundations.
the second bullet's on page 6. You mean, is it the second bullet on page 7?
I wrote 7 out of 13. It's the one that has to do with crumbling foundations.
It's on page 7.
Thank you. I just think it needs to be clarified that this refers to finding a homeowner with crumbling concrete foundations. It's not really clear in that second bullet. It just says the owner has to be a person, not a nonprofit, for the free testing of a foundation. I think that should be clarified if people are looking to see.
That was in
what
response to my question, actually, I think, as opposed to a statement about that program in general.
I just think it needs to be clear that this is a homeowner with crumbling concrete foundations. Like, it's not clear there what it is. So if we're trying to get out to the community to come forward and help us out with this, I just think that that needs to be clarified. It doesn't matter. I know it was in response to the question. I just think it needs to be clear what the answer was.
Before you go any further on that?
Yeah, I'm all done.
Well, I just had the last part where it said 4 more from Coventry have come through. I'm not even sure what that meant.
Is that people who...
You in the same place?
Am I on?
No,
8F3.
I'm in, I'm just playing 8F1.
Yeah, oh, yeah. You're right.
Go down to 8F3.
Yvonne is correct. You're in 8F3.
So Richard's there with something.
The last sentence, 4 more people from Coventry have come through.
Is that applied to the program?
Have come forward to the assessor.
Okay.
And that proves that I actually read these, so it's my first.
Pretty cool, right?
Anybody else have anything?
I just want to comment, I thought the minutes were greatly improved, and thanks.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, wait, I have another one. I'm sorry, before we...
That's fine, I'm not going.
On page 8, in 10A, second paragraph, about halfway down through, beginning of the line, Amanda's last name, Backhouse, is misspelled.
Again?
Just
How is it spelled?
Backhaus.
Anybody have anything else?
And one on page 9.
Okay.
Let's see, there are 3 paragraphs on page 9. Third paragraph, about halfway down, if you see the capital letters SRO, just above that, yeah, I think it's your comment, Lisa, but it says, if the community has an appetite for this grade, I think it's for this comma. Great.
Exactly.
I'm just saying, it reads really awkwardly if you read through it.
May I on the same?
Sure, yeah, jump in.
First paragraph, third line, where you see the BOE.
Yeah.
So it should say the superintendent informed him that the Board of Ed, he didn't say is not, he said has not formally taken up the issue. He didn't say that they wouldn't take it up or that they're not taking it up. He said that it has not been taken up.
So this is a tense.
Yes, has not formally taken up this issue. So he couldn't speak to, they had no comment from the board yet because they haven't formally taken up the issue. The superintendent was speaking.
Oh, you're way at the top, I'm sorry.
Yeah, third line, first paragraph.
Page 9.
Page 9.
Okay, all right, so now I got it.
So instead of Board of Ed is not formally taking, just change it to has not formally taken up this issue. I don't know if it matters, but in the second paragraph, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, sixth line where it says Palmer will research how, I think what Chief Palmer said was that he had researched it, and I still have the documents if nobody else has them. So he did that research 2 years ago and gave it to the council. So I don't think he said he will. Maybe he did. I didn't hear him say he will research again. He said I have researched.
He was gonna.
He'll update it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Update. Take a fresh look.
Because we got a report, didn't we?
Yep. That's what I did.
On page 10, under 10C, and the first line you list Steve Paholski and Jim McLaughlin. I would ask that you maybe put that Jim McLaughlin held title as fire administrator so that people would know.
The fire EMS administrator.
Fire/EMS administrator.
Okay. And if you just put it right before his name, it's cool.
I think that's it for me. Does anybody else have anything?
Page 11. Under 10F, I guess, third paragraph, if you will, the discussion. Fourth line down, the word "the" does not need to be there before the word filtration. I think it's just transposed with the word water on the preceding line, but it can just be taken away. And then under 11A, in my reading of that, towards the end of it, I see there's a kind of a glossing over. It talks about the 8 modules and scheduled classes may be canceled. And generally, the modules are often in order after an election. UConn's now offering the classes. I thought one of the important points of that discussion that should be noted in the minutes is her current status with regard to classes she's taken, classes she's signed up for, like what the current status is. I think that is the tenor of that piece of discussion.
In the middle, it says that person is in the process of signing up for the necessary classes. So that's where she is.
Yeah, I thought we got a little more detail.
He's taken one class, and you said was signing up for her.
She's opened a purchase order and said she's going to start taking them at the UConn location.
But, yes, we were specific as only taken one course and was getting signed up for additional courses at UConn.
So I'd like that noted in this little paragraphy thing.
John, 10E, the motion, doesn't it, I think it should say I make a motion that the town council accept the audit, rather than, it just said I made a motion to accept the audit.
Yes.
Is it, Vaughn, you got that one? 10E, 19, 20, 40?
Yep, say it again.
Just say I made a motion that the town council accept the audit. Because finance recommended to the town council that they accept the audit. That was the point.
I just want to make sure that we have some language going in under 11A. I'm sorry, no, everything is on you at this moment, Yvonne.
Her current status is that she has taken one class and opened a purchase order and signed up for more classes at UConn.
I'm comfortable with that. Are you comfortable with that? Okay, thank you.
Everybody in favor of approving the minutes of January 21st, 2020 with the corrections we've made, please say aye.
Aye.
Next would be the minutes of our special meeting, January 28th, 2020. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve the minutes of January 20.
Second?
Thank you. Any changes, corrections?
Is it 28? January 28, excuse me.
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't have any.
I just had a question, and maybe I'm just naive here.
Excuse me, the minutes, on the top of the minutes, it says January 13th.
13th, yeah, I'm looking.
On the agenda, it says January 28th, so.
There is January 28th.
28th as
You're
well.
looking at the wrong one. Thank you, sorry.
I'm sorry.
It does have the wrong year in the title, actually.
Yes.
That's okay.
That's why.
So we should have been that.
Okay, so we're on the 28th.
Yes, correct.
It's the one pager. right?
So that was
Yeah, clarity.
senior and hand?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, in that order.
Thank you.
So I'm sure it's like many things in the English language can be done many ways, but is the abbreviation for attorney ATTNY? I thought it was just ATTY. So it's there twice before Duncan Forsythe and Richard Roberts. I'm sorry, third paragraph at the top.
Yes.
That's all. That's all I had.
So we're taking out the end?
Take the end out.
Okay.
I didn't do it.
Anybody have anything else? All those in favor of approving these minutes with the change of the date and taking the N out of the abbreviation of attorney, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve our consent agenda?
So moved.
When you want to remove things, is that?
Well, wait, it comes after the second.
After.
After, okay, thanks.
So we kind of have Lisa squared. Who wants to?
However you want to record it.
Okay,
Just
Lisa
put Lisa.
Thomas moved, Lisa Conan seconded. Is there anybody that would like to remove something from our consent agenda? Wow. John Hamm?
I'd like to remove 6F5 to stop the bleed.
Okay, anybody else? Everybody wanted that one off, Richard?
9B.
Okay. Anybody else? All those in favor of approving our consent agenda, removing items 6F5 and 9B, please say aye.
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 Was it B or D?
B as in boy,
As in
I believe.
boy. Yes. All right, number 6, reports. I don't have much to report on. I hope that people saw our beautiful flagpoles and benches and lights in front of our town hall. That project's concluded as far as I'm concerned.
We
No?
are actually going to be working with a master gardener class from UConn that will be doing some minor landscaping, appropriate landscaping on stone to enhance the stone, not hide the stone. But that will be obviously in the spring. But Bill Laurel has lined up several UConn master gardeners to do that project and other beautification projects around town. All we have to do is find the plans.
Nice.
Yes.
I just want a special thanks to Akron Electric. They installed all of the lighting and, paid for and installed all of the lighting. And I just wanted to give them credit for that and thank them.
Yep.
I think it looks
Okay.
great. Yeah.
Yeah, it does
Second.
look wonderful.
And thanks to Bill for coordinating that earlier.
All right, do any council members have anything they want to report on this evening? Matt?
I attended the inaugural Ad hoc Senior Housing Alternative Study Committee the other day. And 6 of the 7 members were present. They appointed Sandra Astor Staves as chair, Roberta Wilmot as vice chair, and Christine Pate as secretary. They're going to be meeting the first and third Tuesdays of the month, starting with February 18th. There will not be one on February 4 or whatever that is, at 9:30 in the morning in conference room B, hopefully. But we got them off to a good start, and they have support from our staff, Mark. And,
Mark Landley.
Mark Langley.
Yeah, there are a bunch of marks.
We've got 3 marks. Matt, if you don't mind.
No.
Matt had raised an issue. The council has not appointed a council designee.
That's true.
So maybe that can go back to steering to look at the existing people. There's still one vacancy for, to represent the Housing Authority, so that also should be investigated. But one of the existing members should be designated as a council rep.
There was a discussion as to what exactly their focus was going to be, and I don't know if the council wants to make any further determination of that, or steering look at that. It just, there was question, I think the majority of the group wants to look at non-low income assisted housing, but I think that the charge would recommend that they look at both types of housing. I'm just not sure that they agreed at what they were intending to be looked at. So
Clarification of the charge?
well, we read it together and talked about it, and several people gave their opinions, and I kind of suggested that if they, as a group, decide that they want to focus on something, one or the other, or not exactly what the charge seemed to say, then they should come back to steering and ask them for clarification.
My memory was that they wanted, that's part of the reason they kind of wanted to see the need.
Right.
Not trying purposely not to use market.
Well, that's exactly what our discussion turned out to be, yeah.
Because I think many projects in the state today, especially that are being done in the private sector, they have a mix. They get maybe a density bonus to do a few lower income units, and instead of having any stigmas, it's all mixed, and then the assisted units may be slightly smaller, but I think if once they get into the project, they'll find out that successful projects have a blended and some set-aside units that are a little cheaper. So if they want guidance, maybe Stern would be the spot for them to go. But I think there was a discussion about it's premature to say one or the other.
That's what we had at at their meeting as well. So, but that didn't stop the discussion. So. But
I thought the word study was in the title, senior housing study, so that they might explore and evaluate what.
Well, and that's kind of where what was said at the meeting, that they may find that the need is one or the other or both, and that then the committee should explore one or the other or both if that's what the need is. They're supposed to come back with a report in 6 months also, so that's why they decided to work twice a month, because they thought they could get more done in a quicker time frame.
Anything else?
Not on that meeting, thank you.
All right. Any other council members?
Thank you, John. I did forget that because I had it in my notes here.
I was going to say this at the last meeting, but it got to be a pretty packed meeting. But with our last agenda, instead of information, John had included notes from the School Readiness Committee. And I just wanted to say that I was really proud as I was reading through them to see the professionalism and dedication they have to our youngest students. And in particular, I noticed that they have ongoing professional development for their staff and their paraeducators, which is critical. They're planning for successful transition of students to kindergarten. They're monitoring for compliance with the school readiness grant guidelines. They have a full range of support services for students who need special ed support. The classrooms are described exactly as I would expect to see as a professional educator walking into a classroom with goals posted, clear objectives. It's clearly a learning environment, not a babysitting service. I served on the council through the establishment of the Hale Early Education Center, and during the initial planning there was some concern expressed by council members and people in the community that it wasn't an educational institution, but it really is. It's a preschool program. It makes the notes from the Readiness Committee make it very clear that they are dedicated education professionals, and the work that they're doing at the Early Childhood Center is part of what we need to do to not just guarantee academic success, but social and emotional success. And that, is something that I know I, as a teacher, am seeing every day is a huge, huge challenge, is meeting social emotional needs of our kids. We have a lot of kids coming into school, and it doesn't matter whether they're in our most rural communities or our most urban communities. They're coming in with a lot of trauma. And being able to work with them very early on should give those kids an edge and hopefully a stronger foundation as they move on up through the grades. So thank you, John, for supplying those notes. It was really helpful. I appreciate it.
Any other council members want to report on anything? All right. Matt Jr., our steering committee report.
Yep, so steering's reviewing, at the request of a concerned citizen, public gathering ordinance 70-88, the same ordinance that we just amended at the town meeting. The key points of discussion will be the permit processing time of 30 days, the required age of 21 to pull a permit to have a public gathering, the approval process, the $50 fee, and the reason behind the 300-person threshold. So we'll be learning more from emergency services, and we'll come back to discuss what the options are, the reasons behind the way the ordinance is written now, and make a determination. So no further report.
Okay.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
In the steering minutes, it references a letter that was sent by Chris Morgan, the citizen proposing this. Some of us on the council have not seen that letter, which I don't think is okay. So some of the council members have seen the letter, and some of us have not. I don't.
Did it get
Wasn't
attached?
it
It's not attached to
our
anything.
steering agenda?
No. So once again, there's not a really good, transparent
Yeah.
I didn't
process
even get a
going on
copy
here.
of that. Lisa Conant forwarded it to me.
It's attached to steering.
Isn't it?
According to Matthew, I don't.
I think
I went to look for it because I was told when I was reading it, I went to look for it. And,
He emailed us directly.
Okay.
So steering.
so
I think that leads to
anything that
Julie
gets
plus
emailed to
steering.
a council member is supposed to be distributed to all council members.
Well, again,
As an oversight, I didn't realize it didn't go to everybody.
and Julie and I just had this discussion before. So if they're going through the web, then it does not go to me. So I don't know, so I was...
Similarly.
I think there are multiple people who have responsibility for that. Like, so the chairs of the committees, so like if the finance chair receives something to finance, they should make sure it's distributed to all the council members, or the chair of the council, or the chair of steering, whatever. That's just a detail we should pay attention to, is to make sure everybody's getting the information.
So I'm not sure what Lisa's asking for, but if something like that should be attached to your agenda or your minutes. I don't know about sending it out special to everybody or something.
Well, somehow it has to get to all
It has to
council.
go.
I mean, that's what I did. I went to
Yeah.
look at the minutes, and it wasn't attached, so I still don't know what the contents of that letter is.
We'll sum it up.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you.
I think his comments at Audience of Citizens, it was very, very similar to that, but I agree it should be attached to the agenda. Reappointments?
Yep.
I move that the council approve the reappointment of Marjorie Roach for the HUD Housing Rehab and Fair Housing Commission, term to expire 12/31/2021.
Second.
Any discussion on that?
Wait, there's two Margaret's in a row.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I move that the council approve the reappointment of Marjorie Roach to the Human Rights Commission, term to expire 1/1/2022.
Second. Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I move that the council approve the reappointment of Jennifer Rogers to the Parks and Recreation Commission, term to expire 1/1/2022.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 I move that the council approve the appointment of Michael Sobel to serve as the town's representative to the Eastern Regional Tourism District for a
Second.
3-year
Can
term.
you do appointments under reappointments? I'm just not clear.
We moved on.
We've moved on.
To what?
Appointments.
It's in order.
We did Roach.
No, no.
Rogers. Did Rogers.
It's an appointment, it's not a reappointment, that's all. I'm just suggesting that we change the agenda next time. Appointments and reappointments.
Should I wait
It
it for
is
you?
separated.
Oh, it's separated.
Second.
Oh, I apologize. Okay.
Okay. Any further discussion on the appointment of Mike Sobel to the Eastern Regional Tourism?
John, could you give me a 10-second explanation as to why nobody's been serving on that and what's been going on?
It's a brand-new commission. The state restructured their tourism districts and called on appointments. It was effective in like October of this year. And then the state said, we're taking back $150,000 because you didn't have a board that could approve spending the money. So
It's a regional board, how many towns?
it's all of Eastern Connecticut. It's basically still, for those familiar, it used to be called Mystic and Moore. When they consolidated tourism districts, we used to have one in the northeast, and they merged the northeast down into the Mystic in London one, and all the attention went down there, and towns complained, and they got it expanded, and the state, in their infinite wisdom, decided that every town should have one rep, which made Eastern Connecticut's board huge, so they couldn't get quorums, and therefore they couldn't spend the money, and the state took the money back.
So would this person, because I'm not familiar with the board, would this person be representing the town council's thoughts and expectations from the board? Or I don't know exactly what they're going to be doing, that's all.
I don't have a great answer. I think they're representing the general town, specifically the council or not. Obviously, all appointees of the town are supposed to have a tie back to the council. But I don't think at this point they know exactly what they're doing. I think they're trying to decide how to best spend their money.
I just wanted to know if we can get ongoing then with some more information, so that if we would like to at least have input, we could do that. That's all.
They are under chaos. It took us a number of days. The steering committee asked us to find a question. It took us a while because their executive director has been terminated, so that they actually found that, or quit, I don't know which, but the economic development director from the town of Wyndham is serving as the interim. So we finally got an answer that he had to go back to the admin person. So it took a couple of days, but we just got it today, an answer that under current procedures that won't allow an alternate, although other towns have asked for the same thing. I can try to get more information on it, but that's what I know. Currently, the website is almost non-existent. I've gone on and I couldn't even find a phone number or an address the restructuring is a big restructuring, so you're getting feet under that.
Okay. So we should request updates, I guess, from our representative.
All right, any other discussion? All those in favor of appointing Mike Sobel, please say aye.
Aye.
Go on, Matt.
I think that's it.
Oh, you can't do Barbara.
Yeah, if I may, Matt, I think for the record, you ought to discuss the other option that we had, because it may become a change in the regulations, and then you could revisit it.
Sure. We also had another applicant, Barbara Perret. She is a business owner in town and felt that she would be a good representative of the interests of Coventry and the promotion of Coventry.
But we just found out that we can't, and you guys had voted to make her
An alternate.
An alternate. So,
but we found that that's not a possibility, right?
Correct, yeah.
So just it's another situation where we have a wealth of volunteers in our town, which is just wonderful. We'll see. I would not be surprised if they're not able to get
Chair board. Yeah.
Can I just ask then about how it's listed on the agenda here? It probably should be, something should be indicated that she is being recommended as an alternate, as opposed to a
Yeah, that's an oversight.
representative?
Yes.
So there needs to be something reflected in the minutes that that position is not currently available, but should it become available, then we could move forward with that
You
appointment.
could revisit it, yeah. And I think the steering committee minutes which are in the packet, are clear, so thank you for those.
If I may just make it super clear for everybody, she was, we discussed and this idea of an alternate came up, and I think it was unanimous recommendation that she could be the alternate if we found out from the board that they would accept an alternate. That's all. So
The
that's,
minutes are very clear about that.
All right.
It's allowed.
Okay, next is going to be the town manager project updates.
Okay. So you have my written report. I'm going to highlight a couple of things and a couple updates.
Just, sorry, procedurally, Matt wants to know if we have to
Table 6C2A1.
6C2A1?
just table that whole, or just,
I would just bring it back if we learn.
Continue it?
no, I think, just, well, it's up to
Do
you
whatever
guys.
you want. You
Yeah.
can table it indefinitely.
Amend it as alternate, at least, and then
Yeah.
table it,
Okay,
or continue it.
I'll second that if that's a motion.
Yes.
thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay.
Okay.
Just want to let you know, the CROG testing program for crumbling foundations, we're up to 129 towns, 129 households that have been reimbursed. And we have, if you haven't heard, we found our last for our community development block grant testing program, which means we're able to close that program out and lose 3 points in our community development block grant application, which is significant. Another big thing that tomorrow we'll start publicizing, as you're aware, the state is doing the design work at their expense for the Hop River Road Bridge. We got into a special program, so we don't have to pay for the engineering. As part of that, they need to do borings, drilling to see where the rock is, so they can do the design. And they need to close the road for 2 days on February 10th and 11th. Not short notice, we found out on Friday. We will be, and that's between 7 a.m. and 5 p.m. So tomorrow we'll be getting out kind of a road alert, and our plans to notify people. We're going to use our big message board at the end of, towards the end of Hop River Road, and we're going to do a little flyer and actually just do a mailbox, not in the stuff of the flag, just for that whole road. We don't have any good way, even sending a letter out, there's no way we get a letter
Get it.
in time, the mail, it's not the same day delivery like it used to be. So we'll do a stuffer and coordinating with the town administrator and Columbia too. But, so it's good news that they're moving ahead, but it's 2 days of inconvenience where they got to close the bridge down for the drilling equipment.
So that'll just be right at the immediate area of the bridge.
Right.
So unless you're trying to traverse the road all the way, you could approach from the other ends, right?
Correct.
To get,
It just can't go over the bridge.
Right.
Which a lot of people, a lot of bridge users are actually the bikers, the rails to trails users. So we don't have a good way to get hold of them.
Hence your big sign.
Well, yep.
Can I just ask a quick question? The reverse calls, the phone call blast that can be used, I'm never clear on when that can be used. Is that this one of those situations where a
We
phone call can
could,
go out?
we hadn't thought of that. We get a lot of negative feedback.
You can't, but negative feedback doesn't mean you shouldn't do something that has an
So
overall positive.
let me talk with the police department to see if we can, we could do a town-wide issue if you want. There's some capabilities of doing a geographic area when you're doing an area, but we just don't know if, somebody from the north end uses that as a commuter route or not. But we know that if you get down to that intersection, all you have to do is continue down Bunker Hill and go Parker Bridge, either one. And you'll get, so I'm not as concerned there as going down the road and then having to turn around. That would be a little bit more annoying. But we'll look and see whether we can geographically do the people on the road. Folly Lane Bridge, we did get our wetlands permit, so we're doing some final adjustments of the project and seeking reimbursement to do a little bit of a driveway change to Skungomog so they can get their big, when they have golf tournaments, they have a big tractor with all the golf carts, and we need a way for them to turn around. They can't go up into the big parking lot because it's too big a hump and then we'll get stuck on it, which sounds like that's happened. So, you know, they come in the other way and that bridge will be closed during construction. So we're looking at a minor widening of their current driveway and put a little fence that won't be open most of the time. So our engineer is working with them and we're trying to find out if that will be a project cost.
Does that mean moving the stone wall? I'm just trying to see if I know where you are.
I think it's kind of where some of the golf carts are already plugged.
On the other side, on the side where the...
Towards the green.
Towards the green.
So we don't want to widen the road out, and it would only be a temporary thing during construction. So we have more conversations, but that's what Todd Penny came up with as a possible lower cost. But we want to not, instead of having the big tractor trailer truck try to back down that road, which would not be good. So we're trying to come up with solutions. But at this point, we believe there's a few more minor permit things, but we believe that we have the Army Corps permit already, so that's the big one. So we're just waiting for the, I think, natural database diversity listing, which we know that we have a bat issue that we either have to, probably at our expense, cut down trees in April, because we can't add that. It has to be through the main contractor, and the contract won't be awarded by then. So it's about 6 trees that have to come down, or we have to hire a bat expert. And having spent money on our turtle expert and never seeing a box turtle, we did find a snapping turtle at Jones Crossing, but the whole time they never saw one of the other turtles.
Are there bats in those trees?
That's why you would have to hire a bat expert.
Yeah. What's the first date of that?
I think it's April 30th.
Yeah. If they're in your house, they won't let you take them out till the end of August. If they're at any time in the
That's
spring.
very important. I know it's.
Yeah.
I know it's.
They are.
But so they want to make sure you're not injuring a nest by taking down a tree. So
Blocking off your attic.
So we're working through that, but we believe that will be the only issue that we need to deal with. But we're hoping to get that out to bid, and that would be just this summer season. Connecticut DOT swamp and Route 44. I've mentioned that internally DOT is having an issue because the traffic people didn't show up to a scoping meeting, and now they want, which happened like almost a year ago, now they want us to, instead of adding a leg to the signal, replace the whole signal. The lead time to buy a traffic signal is about 3 or 4 months. So that could potentially push the whole project off a construction season. We also then would have to pay to engineer to redesign at our expense that signal, which would be about $20,000, and/or ask the Connecticut DOT to do design work, which could add even more time, but save us the money. But the lot SIP people are not happy with the traffic people. They've been having several meetings, and they were supposed to meet today, and the traffic person called out sick. So we're waiting. We are going to pursue a third option we came up with, which is to let put the project out to bid. Put the project out to bid and build the new road and leave and still use the old swamp road. Barricade off the new road until the traffic signal is installed. So we can do it at the end. It could be bid out and then even as a change order. But we can get the construction going. So we're pursuing that as another option, not to wait a year. Because due to this winter weather, if you've noticed, Cumberland Farms is moving along quite fast.
Yeah.
While the two are not inherently tied together, we were working on this project long before Cumberland Farms came, but we believe that it will make it safer for everyone to have this intersection lined. So I don't want to wait. I don't want to lose a year if we try.
Can I ask a quick question? The school parking lot, I'm a little confused in my own mind. Is it 2020 or 2021?
The grammar school parking lot, we are trying for the summer.
It is, because it said next summer in here, and I was like, is that this coming summer? Or is that
Coming summer.
Yeah, summer after.
Todd has the initial plan, he's met with Eversource already. We're marking for where the conduit, or getting a company to come and mark where the conduit lines are, because it's not visible. He's continuing to work on the design, and we're hoping to get it out. Obviously, construction can't start till kind of the third week in June, maybe fourth week. It will be a tight construction season to get that parking lot done. But Todd is finishing up the preliminary design on it. Public hearing on the Community Development Block Grant will be at the next council meeting on Tuesday, the 18th at 7 o'clock. And right now, we're leaning towards strongly in reapplying for the grant that we did last time to do major renovations to Orchard Hills for the total $1.5 million. The public hearing, people can ask for consideration of other options. But after that, we have the countdown to like the middle of April application process, and you'll get a whole series of updating of policies and procedures and guidelines that you'll be voting on from the meetings after that. If you've never seen a small city's application, it's a notebook about this thick of procedures and policies. We did go out to bid for consulting services and did get 2 proposals in, one from our incumbent and one from a company out of Stratford, Housing Opportunities, which actually was very interesting for some of the senior housing types of things that showed, they may be willing to come up and talk to that committee because they've done a lot of the new projects of those mixed uses. They've probably come up free of charge to talk.
The committee actually was talking also about inviting developers to come in that have experience in these areas to learn more about the types of options and what they need to do here in Coventry to go forward. So.
And the last thing that I have on my list, besides answering questions on my written report, is Eric Trott told me today that the hydrilla report, I was going to try to grab that exactly because she doesn't know this yet, but the survey work report was just submitted from George Knockline to Solitude, so now we're expecting that report, Solitude report, will come through quickly. Eric Trott's saying, give me the report, get me a proposed budget, and a plan. So the questions, all those questions are relative to the survey. Are they going to propose another year the same, or some different types or levels of treatments? And
so they are looking at other that you suggested?
Preliminarily, I talked to Solitude before, but again, before we had the full report. And they're saying he recommends at least one more year of the full lake treatment before they went to some possibly spot treatment. But overall, that's good news because originally they talked about 10 years of full lake treatment. So
did you say they were thinking of another product?
We found another vendor that.
But I thought it was a slightly different.
That had a different product.
Right.
So the different vendor had a different product. We did get permission from the state if we want to change that. But if we're looking at one more year, we may want to stay with this firm for one more year, and then, especially if we're breaking treatments. But that company did say after a while you want to change the chemical, and because they get somewhat resistant to it.
So it's a different chemical. It's not just a different
brand
of the same.
Yeah, it's a different, and I don't know enough about it to know if it's the same type of thing. This one, we know has photosynthesis is the basis versus chemical, and there's some advantages to that, so we haven't pursued it far enough to know whether there's dangers. Like this one has had some minor impacts to the good grasses, but they've been resilient and still are coming back. We don't want something that would be more damaging. We haven't had a chance to talk to Dr. Cortland about this other alternative, but we want to get this report first. So good news is coming in.
Too much into the weeds on it, but the intended, all right. But, no, seriously, the mechanism that it uses, you were saying we don't yet know if it's the sunscreen for the photosynthesis.
I don't know the new.
We know that's the
chemical
old way, we don't know what the new proposed one, the mechanism of.
from a different vendor.
Yep, okay.
I'm pretty darn sure that Solitude's going to say, let's stick with sonar.
You think? Yeah.
And it worked, and it had did not have negative side effects that were lasting. You could clearly see there was some impact, but they came back strong. And we had residual effects, which were positive, of getting rid of a lot of Phragmites, which was really helpful for the lake.
Was there any discussion, I guess probably would be part of that, about the benthic barrier removal?
Everyone agrees they have to come out.
Okay, good.
So it's just a matter of who's going to do it and make sure that it's done before
The
end of
treatments,
June or July. So
Thank
it's
you.
got to come out.
Thank you, that's good to hear.
And it will come out of money from this year that we're going to have.
Any other questions for John?
Could you just talk a little bit, John, about the status of the crosswalk project?
Yes.
That was succinct.
Yes.
It's on my nag list. We had to take it back from the engineer who wanted like an amazing amount of money just to submit an application, because we found out that we're in the traffic Connecticut district we're in has installed one up in Wellington. So they've done this already, so we shouldn't have to like do a big
Reinvent the
pony
wheel.
show.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of getting the paperwork in. And is it school parking lot? Is it one or two bridges? Is it, so, yes. It's on my nag list.
Thank you. Anybody have anything else?
I don't expect too long.
Next item on our agenda, 6F2, New England Central Railroad 2020 Vegetation Control Program documents.
So every year we get this notice. The New England Central Railroad basically has a legal obligation to clear the trail lines from vegetation that can start fires. And this is, the sparks in dry grasses can start fires, so they have to clear it. We've been getting this letter for about 4 or 5 years. Nobody's ever raised concerns, but they're using chemicals on the railways.
Is that, do you know, and I guess it's just kind of a side thing, do you know if this is similar to what I see DOT do along the side of the highway and stuff like that, where they just, same reason, they're like, we don't want this vegetation right up next to the roadway, it's dangerous.
This is stronger stuff.
Because it's railway, okay.
And more stronger stuff and done a lot more.
Okay.
What the DOT is using is really a commercial Roundup, which has its own issues.
Glad I brought it up.
This,
Probably similar to what Eversource uses in their substations,
yes,
because they spray that, trust me.
It's
I don't
dead.
know what it is dead.
yes.
A couple of chemicals actually mixed together. I forgot what they are.
Thank you.
So,
Yeah, all right, so you want it, you get water.
yeah.
So if there's no water there, be cautious.
So, if people do have concerns, we have their information and they can come to us. But, they do have a legal responsibility to do this, but, it kills apple, ash, aspen, birch, black locust, black tupelo. I mean, I don't know. So,
Thank you for your back.
yeah, it's brown.
Shouldn't brush it aside.
So
Just stop.
We've tried, you should trust us. We've tried.
It's a long 2 years.
We're only getting started.
Is that right? So, microgrid update, if I can move on.
Get a chart out.
The tiles are mostly installed, there's still a couple left. We have a link so we can start seeing the information. Some very interesting data is already coming through, like at one point, and the middle school like went 0.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, kind of means maybe that tester is not right, but we're getting good data. They're continuing to work through their financing plans, come up with alternatives. We do have an issue that we need clarified, whether we're going to try to avoid charging them property tax, because if we charge them property tax, the PPA rate will be higher. So it's just a simple pass-through. We've had some initial discussions with our attorneys who thought they could do some issues. I just want to make sure the council is okay with that. We don't charge taxes on the solar.
It would seem to be silly to charge taxes so we can pay more for power. Unless that's a gross oversimplification, it would just seem
Depends
silly.
whose budget gets the money and whose budget pays the money.
Yeah. Well,
it's a public utility.
My statement to them is if they start selling it outside of us, then we'll look at it.
Good.
But right now, they're not planning to do that. But if there is, I think we would want a proportional taxation for that, because that's...
I'd like to know a lot more about that possibility, if that's true.
I don't think that's true. I don't think they're planning on it. They run into conflicts with that. They can sell off a rec, which is because but that would be for what's generated but used by us. A rec is a way of transferring green energy credits.
So we would have to vote on a special exemption, or how would it work?
Yeah, and our attorneys had to look at it, and they've been a little busy recently, so, but the finance people want to know, because that matters to whether they're going to finance it too, so they need the full package, so.
Do you have enough information for finance to look at it?
We could try, sure. We'll add that to finance. Another quick update. We did have a joint meeting between our engineering firm that's writing the request for proposals for the design build and the microgrid team. We were there for about an hour and a half or so. There's good synergy. So the RFP that we're doing, going out for the unit ventilators, we'll pick a design option to specify for design build that will be compatible with the microgrid, and then they'll isolate out some options about getting the piping and to generate the heat. So it'll be specified and isolated out as a separate unit, and they're trying to get that RFP draft to by Thursday, so that we'll have it for the school building energy committee. So the timeframes of the two projects are actually very synergistic.
Eventually, will we see all the calculations that are going to go into the calculation of the PPA?
To the degree that it's within their business.
I think we're relying on these calculations to determine what they want us to accept. So I'd like to be able to take a look at what they're proposing and why.
Within their business limits. I mean, the same thing like we did for solar projects. You know, do we really know their profit level and so forth? I don't know.
Oh, well, yeah. I was thinking about the heat transfers and...
Yes, yes. So we talked about that a little bit on our call on Friday, that they need to have that for their next round of updating the business financing people, of who's going to pay for what, and they've been given a charge. Board of Ed has made it very clear that they don't want any, they have to have at least a net zero, if not some reductions. But that could be a combination of saving from regular natural gas heat to microgrid heat as part of that calculation. But the same with us, you know, our total, we want a total net of, if not zero, less than zero. But if it's net plus, the answer is we're probably going ahead with this.
So the town's not only voting on the town piece, like, I mean, we have to accept the whole project.
I think everyone has to accept the whole
That's
project.
what I'm saying, okay.
So there's 3 votes. The board that has to accept it, the town council accepts it, but the board has made it very clear that they're not looking at a total cost if their specific budget. And I've given up on the argument that it's the same taxpayer. But microgrid people think they can make it work that way. It's just complicated because every school has different rates right now. And demand charges and other issues. So they are building a model for that right now between Tumalo and...
Every school has different power rates.
Yes. The high school actually...
Different sources of energy for one.
Well, they're different rates.
Different contracts, right?
They're different power out. There's the high school is the only one that has demand charges, but they're like, I don't know, the rate 40 or something like that. But there's all these different rates based on the power usage, the size of the building, and so forth. All that will go away. We'll have one rate. But right now, they have to do the calculations to show what the current usage is, what the proposed usage will be. So they're trying to start to build a model, a pro forma model right now. So they'll share that with us.
That's what I was saying, is that we're going to be relying on that model and you know, the effectiveness of that calculation to determine, you know, whether we can really buy into it, number one. And then if it's, that's why I was asking at the meeting, if in fact our experience is different than what they were projecting, you know, that we have some recourses in the contract, and that's what they were talking about.
So they haven't backed off from the time frame yet. They're pushing their key financing company to try to make their decisions and get them the information they need. So at this point, we're still looking at.
Are there any other successful microgrids going up in Connecticut?
There's one that's in Bridgeport that's operational. There's another one in the Hartford area. Bridgeport one has some municipal impact, but most of these are private sector ones. Colleges are doing
Fairfield University.
I meant municipal, yeah.
UConn has its own system.
Well, they have their own plant.
Yeah, they have their own power plant. So in a sense, they're a microgrid because
It's a macrogrid.
So the next item is grand list.
Yep.
Our net grand list went up 4.6%. We'll be working on in all our spare time, hopefully for the finance meeting, to try to isolate out the what's the new growth versus the reval growth, because that's an important number for you to know.
You should be able to do that.
We've done it in the past. Hopefully we
I
can
talked
do
to
it.
Mike about it today. He's pulling together quite a few different reports for us for finance on Monday. You should have them Thursday. So.
And then tonight in your folder, you have the list of the top 10 taxpayers. If you didn't see the Hartford Current today, there's some interesting numbers that had how much our community pays for income tax to the state. Surprisingly high compared to even some of our neighbors. It's over $22 million in state income tax. Some other towns around us we compared to were like less than that. Holland, which is larger than that, was only like $1 million more. So we're not the poor, as an aggregate, we're not the poor town that we think of ourselves to be. Either that or we're getting ripped off by the state. But put it in perspective.
Could be A and B, you never know.
Yeah, Avon was at 113 million. So, but it's interesting to see those numbers and comparisons, and we're going to try to play with them a little bit to see if we can do that if we can get that in an Excel spreadsheet or something, we can do that per capita, which then we could start reading and ranking, and it just would make it more comparable. So, anyways, interesting data is coming out.
Okay, next 6F5, the Chronicle. John Hand had asked to have it removed, our Coventry EMS stuff to bleed program.
Thank you, Julie. I'm sorry. Thank you, Madam Chair. Sorry. So I just wanted to highlight this. I think this is a great program. I know it's been talked about a couple times before, but highlight that it is a free training course. You sign up through Parks and Rec to do it. The next one's coming up on February 11th at the North Coventry Fire Department, Station 11.
Say what it is, I don't think you
It is
said.
the Stop the Bleed. I think Julie mentioned that. So it is the Stop the Bleed training, which can help teach regular folks how to, just like the title says, literally stop the bleed. So injuries happen all the time. They happen where you think they'll happen. They happen where you don't think they'll happen. And it can really mean the difference between saving somebody's life. If there's a serious injury and you happen to be nearby, you have this training, you can literally save somebody's life. Be very fulfilling. It looks like they do it in just 2.5 hours of training, and you learn a whole bunch of new and updated stuff about how to do that. So I think that's a great thing that's offered in our community, and I encourage all the citizens to sign up and take advantage of that. There will be more courses offered, I believe, through time, not just this one in February. So I think they're monthly. Yes?
If I may, something got left out of this article that I just thought that we presented, and I understand they have space and other limits, but I just want to mention this, that this came forward as a council initiative from Carolyn Arabolis, who attended this, and the council thought it was a great idea, and we sent DJ, we got DJ to Fajila to go and become a trainer and learn how to train other people. But I just wanted to give the council and Carolyn in particular credit for bringing this idea forward.
Absolutely. Cool.
I would add that I'm taking the Stop the Bleed class at UConn, and it's really, really helpful. And it is very short and sweet. And my comment, which actually didn't make the article either, to Lisa, was that, especially in Coventry, where we're semi-rural and we have volunteer services, which means we're not in a place where if something really bad happens, there's a hospital or a trauma center or even a walk-in care clinic right around the corner. There could be a wait time. So having these skills is really important because seconds count with these kind of traumatic injuries.
Now we're on to unfinished business item 7A 19/20-37, consideration possible action, cops hiring program / school resource officers not ready for action, so we'll just leave it as it is.
Yeah, the chief and I have a meeting with the superintendent on Wednesday at 3:30. So,
Can anybody come?
it's not the way I was scheduled at this point. I'm sure there'll be opportunities.
I just wanted them to be clear that we're just looking for permission to go forward with the grant application, and a final decision can be made if and when it was successful.
Glad to get that.
Okay.
All right, on to new business, item 8A, 19/20-42, consideration possible action, appropriation from our CNREF an amount not to exceed $25,000 for lot SIP application for South and Swamp Road.
It's 26,000 on here.
Yeah, yeah.
On my agenda, I'm reading up the agenda.
Right, so there is a $1,000 difference between what's in the notes and what's on the agenda. Do we have to amend it to do it, or do we just
No.
make that in the motion?
Let's make that in the motion. So the proposal is for 25,400, but there's some extras that can happen, incidentals that, like even printing plans or something like that. So need a little bit of extra. So we're putting 26,000 in.
That's why you always do up to, if you don't spend it, it stays there. So that's fine.
I move that we appropriate from CNREF an amount not to exceed $26,000 for lot SIP application for South and Swamp Road.
Thank you.
So it's lots of application engineering, just so, I think it could, is that?
Absolutely,
a little
sure.
clearer?
If you want to include, I didn't see it on there, but sure, the word engineering can be in there.
And I second that.
Because Richard asked for this. The course is absolutely.
I replaced the car.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
My wife is going to be very happy.
So hopefully they're getting more competitive. Other towns are waking up. But even if they need us to cut it back, we can focus on South Street and leave parts of South alone.
You mean, maybe did you have the balance of CNRF?
Yes.
Oh, never mind, it's
It's in the
425. It
notes.
says 425, I got it.
425 is council's 1.5, parcel number 312.
Oh, yeah, you're right, 312, sorry.
Okay, next item, a new business, 8B 19/20-43, consideration/possible action, rescind ordinance number 125, sections 2-271 to 2-274, the Insurance Advisory Committee, and call to public hearing. So that.
So moved.
Before you do it, I know you usually have a motion and then discussion. But at steering, we talked about having it at February 18th at your next meeting. We also have the Community Development Block Grant public hearing that meeting, and I would suggest that we hold this to March 2nd.
It's 2-275, not 274, just.
Yeah, the minute, or the agenda is wrong. But
Yes.
in the legal notice, it's
I see
correct,
it.
right?
Okay, yep.
Should we read it?
Go with the motion.
Read the motion. Yes, the motion. Read the legal notice.
Notice is hereby given that Coventry Town Council will hold a public hearing on Monday, March 2nd, 2020, at 7:15 p.m. at the Coventry Town Hall Annex, 1712 Main Street, Coventry, to consider the repeal of ordinance number 125, which established the town's Insurance Advisory Committee as codified in sections 2-271 through 2-275 of the Town Code, as this committee no longer serves its intended purpose. It is intended to have an effective date of repeal of April 1st, 2020. The foregoing summary has been provided in lieu of publishing the proposed ordinance in full. This document is prepared for the benefit of the public solely for the purposes of information, summarization, and explanation. This document does not represent the intent of the Town Council of the Town of Coventry for any purpose. A copy of the complete proposed ordinance is available for inspection at the office of the Town Clerk, 1712 Main Street, Coventry, during normal business hours, and also on the town's website, www.coventryct.org. Oh, excuse me, no dot. It's coventryct. It should be .org.
There should be.
Should be
There
.org.
should be. It's a mistake in the
coventryct.org.
It's also VVWW.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And that's
Volkswagen.
That's dated at Coventry, Connecticut. What day is it? 3rd day of February, 2020.
So, second, we'll get those corrections in
Yes.
there before, okay. Just want to make sure that there's no legal notice problems.
Further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, so that's starting at 7:15.
Yeah, should be half an hour.
Next item, a new business, 8C.
It should be half an hour.
It should not be.
Oh, it should not be.
This is March 2nd.
Yep.
Yeah, it's before the Town Council meeting.
19/20-44, consideration possible action appropriation from CNREF for engineering for repairs of CHS walls.
Seconded.
So, on this case, we're looking for $12,000, some not to exceed $12,000.
I think Richard made
the motion.
Yeah.
You want to accept an amount not to exceed $12,000 from CNREF?
To your motion.
Yes. And I second the amendment, accept the amendment in a friendly fashion.
So the motion would be to authorize the appropriation of a sum not to exceed $12,000 from CNREF for engineering for the walls project.
Everyone accepts that?
Accept.
Yes.
It's been going on a long time.
Yes.
It's going to continue a little while more.
Oh, yes.
Further discussion or questions?
Happy to see this progress.
Build the wall.
All those in favor, please say
Strengthen
aye.
it. In case someone wants to blow it over.
Aye.
Aye.
He started it.
He did. Then blew it over.
Last item in new business, 8D 19/20-45, consideration/authorization to execute a license agreement with the estate of Adelma Simmons to facilitate an adaptive reuse request for proposals. Anybody want to make that?
I'd like more information. I'll wait till after the motion's made. If you
Second.
Lisa moved, Ham second. All right, now discussion or questions on this?
So, the issue is that the current successor executor is having difficulty getting insurance for that and wants to...
For the property.
For capital and and our insurance company is willing to consider providing property liability, but before they do that, they want to inspect it. And to inspect it, they want to have that we have insurable interest, which would mean we'd need this type of license agreement to say that we have the right to go out here as part of the request for proposal, inspections, and to bring potential buyers onto the property. So this would cover the liability for both the people that are doing our existing historic study and for people who may wish to bid on or submit an application for the adaptive reuse. There's no cost for this phase of extending liability in essence, and I don't know why they didn't do the simple thing, but they're an insurance company. We often do a certificate of insurance where we just say we insure this, but just like we ask people to do a certificate of insurance here, they wanted a clear license agreement to show that we have an insurable interest. I think that ties more into the second phase after they do the inspection, and they have not been clear yet. They haven't said that they would charge us for that, but I think there's one building that they may say too far gone. So I think what they want to do is go there and say, this is what we can do, and then we'll find out if they have a charge or a cost, and that would be the second issue that I would have to then bring to you. I believe that our policy is if this is covered for a short term, like a 1 year period maximum, that there won't be an additional charge to us. But we'll need to make sure that that's the case.
So I appreciate this, and I think it sounds like a good thing. I'm just trying to figure out if this is a way that the town is now taking control over the eventual use for this property. Is that what this is intended to do?
And clearly we can't do that because...
Well, we're going to control who's going to be able to bid and what they're going to be able to do, right?
It will be, we are preparing, and Eric has the first draft, which we've run through, first draft of adaptive reuse like we did for Kenyon Falls. We didn't own that property either. That's a good model. Okay. Where we went to, but George Pearl has to approve it, and actually Assistant General, Attorney General Karen Gano has to approve it. Okay. And Rich Roberts, our attorney, has gone through it. So we have 2 comments. We haven't heard from the Assistant General yet, and there's some tweaking. Our attorney added some more insurance issues into that RFP just for them coming to look at it. So
what would be the purpose of getting a reuse and marketing study if we're not going to be helping determine the future of the property?
Well, we're writing the RFP that kind of details what we're trying to look for.
So we are controlling what's going to happen.
We're a partner in it, not controlling.
Okay.
So there's a big distinction.
So I'll be able to see the agreement.
Yeah. I would say that within 2 weeks that agreement will be done, and within probably 3 weeks we're going to have what will be the appendix, which is the study from the architectural firms, the cost estimates on it. Okay. And I talked with Eric today, and I've just been a little too busy to even read his RFP right now, but I told him I wanted to make sure that we have a good scoring and ranking system, which is how we can help guide the outcome. I
wasn't making a determination whether I'm in favor or not. I just wanted to find out what we're doing.
I think we're there's multiple interests. Obviously, right now the estate is already authorized by the probate judge to just sell it. Okay. Is that right? Sell it for whatever purpose. No restrictions. So what we're trying to do is align it more with, and it will be an attachment that Delma Grenier Simmons will actually be in there. And we're trying to create a scoring which looks at kind of a rating on how it matches her vision, but also where it matches financial things for the estate. You know, they have debts that they have to pay. So I talked to Eric to go back to George Pirtle to say, is there a minimum? And they need to know that. You know, is there a minimum price? Because the more you ask people to do something tailored, the lower the package may be. But the more, so we're guiding but not controlling. And maybe in a week or so, after the next version of edits, I can get it out to council to add input to that, so that we don't lose time. Because I think time is, going to be of the essence, and we've been rushing the consultants to finish up as fast as they can.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
So our goal would be, rough timeframes we're looking at would be returns, by kind of June, end of June, and a decision by September-ish. But that seems kind of realistic on how these things go. Because there's going to be a lot of approvals that have to happen by probate and the Attorney General's office, which has been assigned because it's she's the attorney that covers nonprofits.
Okay. So we'll be expressing an opinion, but it's not the final, we're not the final determinator.
No, and I think we need to work with George Pirtle to make sure that we come up with a kind of, that's why I want a good scoring and ranking system. And I want to know what's going to be acceptable to him. And we'll probably run it to the probate judge as well. And we've already brought in the Assistant Attorney General's office to give us guidance on what the RFP would be. Again, this is an alternative to them just going to private sector and selling it. But I do think we do need to have somebody with enough financial wherewithal to implement it. And that's what we want to. A new owner that just watches it rot for another 20 years is not helpful either.
So in the draft agreement, John, item number 1 says licensor is current owner of a parcel of land. Would you not say land and buildings?
Good change. I would also say that the official name that should be filled in is the estate of Adelma Grenier Simmons, acting through George Pirtle's successor executive.
Yeah, I'm not writing it down.
Pass that over. But land and buildings, or property and buildings.
Property improvements.
Property and improvements.
Isn't that the?
Not, well, we're looking for insurance so you guys can enter upon like this land, but you're going to enter buildings too that are scary.
Not the only one.
Scary buildings.
I mean.
One of them might be good. One of them is very, very bad. And we'll get the report, we'll confirm that, but right now it's just been taken off, we don't let anyone go in.
So, do we have to move to authorize you?
Yes.
To enter into this license agreement with the estate of Adelma Simmons?
Adelma
To
Grenier
facilitate
Simmons.
an adaptive reuse request for proposals?
Is this urgent before we see the agreement?
This is just a license.
Okay.
Yes, I need this because otherwise the insurance company won't even go out there. So, again.
Got motions going on over here.
But just to be clear, this will not entitle me to cover it under liability, under property coverage.
It's for them to make a study and determine.
It's for them to go out, and so it's a two-step process. This license agreement allows them to go out and see, they will provide liability protection for us and for them. And if they, and then to broaden to cover property coverage, I need to come back and seek additional permission from you. And if there's a cost to that, then you would have to authorize that. So this has no.
So I guess a quick question. Why are we even doing this? I mean, what's the,
Because.
what is our, other than tax money being owed and wanting to
It's an
put our stamp of approval on it?
It's an economic development possibility. She had a business that had world renown.
Yep.
And there's a possibility that we can get something back that will be not that, but something similar to that, and build on it and move forward, versus, I mean, there's no replacement for a Delma, so we're not going to pretend there is. But otherwise, I think the other uses, there's already been a cash offer by somebody that was proposing to buy it and run dirt bikes there. Unsolicited. So it depends what you want for your town, and sometimes laissez-faire works and sometimes it doesn't. It hasn't worked for 20 years, just like it didn't work for 20 years for the Kenyon Mill. Once the town got in, I think we should be proud of the condominiums that are there, that are generating tax for us and providing attainable housing.
Yeah.
So sometimes we have to carve that line with saying we're nudging from the outside, but we're not owning it. And I have no intention to own it.
But we have creditor standing. I mean,
Yes.
we have standing to talk about what happens to that parcel of property, correct?
Yeah, there was taxes. I mean,
Right.
we could.
I mean, so we have an interest, some financial interest in what happens there to make sure that we recoup what is owed to us.
Yeah, I mean, simply, next year, within a year, we could put it into a tax sale and just put it out. That would be the simplest thing, we get our tax money back. But then, who knows what we'll go with? Because we have, at that point, once our taxes are paid, we have no clout.
So I think we have an interest in any sale, but I don't think we can determine what that sale would be,
Right, that's
just
not what
as
I'm
a
saying.
creditor. Anyway.
But we have a financial interest that we're obligated to, we have fiduciary responsibility.
I think there's a motion on the table, but I can't tell you what
There
it
is,
is.
yep.
There is.
And a second.
Lisa and John. Right?
I know who made them, I just don't know
I
which Lisa.
moved and Lisa seconded it.
Yes, I wrote them backwards. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, with all of those
All right.
things that John added.
Under miscellaneous.
Hoping for some
I can't
sage
talk
advice
tonight.
there.
Miscellaneous correspondence. We got a letter from somebody that I assume lives over in our housing authority. I would like to refer this to steering so we can review what we can or can't do and talk about it and get it to the citizen.
The
about this
Sabino letter?
issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, and then Richard, you asked to remove 9B, the Board of Education minutes
I
or
did,
agenda.
agenda. It was just one of the items on the agenda had to do with the primaries on April 28th. And I watched them discuss that and how they were going to keep the schools open. And I didn't quite understand exactly what I was listening to 100% and why we can't have that taking place in the firehouse.
State law, they changed the state law.
Just,
The primaries have to be in the location of the main election. It's as simple as that.
But it's their decision whether they keep the school open or not. That's what they were discussing probably, I'm guessing. And they're going to keep it open.
It sounded like they're trying to keep it open.
I don't know where parking's going to be at the schools.
I don't have an answer to that. All I heard from Marge was that that it's all set to using the school. I didn't get the other part, whether the school open or not, so.
Well, the school is open and they're gonna,
Parking at the firehouses?
No.
they've got a grand plan to make it work.
They've been working with Officer Optenbrow to create a plan for it, so they have a full parking plan in place for both schools already.
So it looks like they have a plan, but I just didn't quite understand why we couldn't have it at the firehouse.
You know, they changed the law about 2 years ago to stop confusion about these people.
To stop, what? I couldn't hear you.
Confusion about where elections are. We'll still confuse people about our referendums, but.
I guess though, I have a little concern on the schools being open that they've never been open, from my past knowledge.
Like from a school safety standpoint?
From a
Is that what you're
school
getting at?
safety standpoint and from a voting perspective too. I mean, there's not a whole lot of room over at the grammar school already. And I don't know how many people vote in the Democratic primary. But that's why it didn't seem like it's going to be a lot of people. I don't know.
This year I wouldn't.
Expect a high turnout, maybe.
But then,
Depends if it's only one candidate, then.
Yeah.
Then there's not a primary.
True.
Touche. Yes.
Right?
Very good, Lisa.
Yep.
I move that the town council enter into executive session pursuant to Connecticut General Statutes 1-206D, discussion of the selection of a site or the lease, sale, or purchase of real estate by a political subdivision of the state, when publicity regarding such a site, lease, sale, purchase, or construction would cause a likelihood of an increased price until such time as all the property's been acquired, or all proceedings or transactions concerning same have been terminated or abandoned. The following people in attendance, the 7 members of the town council, town manager, and the director of finance.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Are you here, please?
Yes, I got one.